COVID cases in China are surging as a result, in part, to its reversal of its zero COVID policy. And that comes after massive protests, unprecedented, unseen in these many, many years that China has been living under effective draconian lockdown because of COVID. So China recently relaxed its strict zero COVID rules after unusually widespread protests against the measures. The policies, again, prevented people from leaving their homes if cases were detected in their area and required regular testing for much of the population. I'm sure you guys remember people who live in massive high rises. If one person in this whatever 300-person building tested positive, the entire building gets shut down. And we're talking, yes, major cities like Shanghai, Beijing, but everywhere. And mind you, China is huge, and there are many, many major cities. But the cases then, because of the reversal, are naturally going up. So they've officially reported about 5,000 cases a day this week, which honestly seems pretty low, but that's officially reported. But analysts say the numbers are vastly undercounted, and the daily caseload is closer to 1 million. Yikes. Now, as a reminder again of, it sounds bad, but what was happening before? What was the cost of that zero COVID policy? In a couple of instances, this is detailed by CNN, migrant workers abandoned a lockdown Foxconn factory en masse, walking for miles to escape an outbreak at China's largest iPhone assembling site. A 3-year-old boy died of gas poisoning in lockdown after he was blocked from being taken promptly to a hospital. A 4-month-old girl died in hotel quarantine after a 12-hour delay in medical care. That's awful. And then it was that event that sort of broke the camel's back, which was in late November, a deadly apartment fire in the western city of Urumqi finally ignited public anger that has been simmering for months. Many believe lockdown measures had hampered rescue efforts despite official denials. Before I kick it to you, Dan, just something to know is that you're like, okay, well, what's the state of vaccination in China? Not as good as you would imagine, but also not that much better, kind of on par with where the United States is at. So China has not vaccinated large segments of its most vulnerable, older population. While 90% of all Chinese were reportedly fully vaccinated as of November, less than 66% of those 80 and older were fully vaccinated, and only 40% had gotten a booster. So China does not have much natural immunity from past COVID waves. Its lockdown policies have kept the virus out of the country, probably saving lives in the short term. But they've also left its population more vulnerable to the disease than those who have been repeatedly exposed to the virus, as this newsletter previously explained. That was from the New York Times. And because of that, there's now new COVID restrictions for travelers coming from China into the United States. Again, remember that the United States dropped all COVID travel restrictions back in June for those entering the country, which honestly made sense because there were no travel restrictions internally, and we were giving each other COVID a lot and continue to do that. But Dan, just thoughts on this? I mean, they finally caved to public pressure, and now they have this obviously health emergency on their hands.
Yeah, there's so many thoughts to get from this. Like, first level, seeing those like gut-wrenching stories about how because of the lockdowns you had like 4-month-old girl and a 3-year-old boy like dying because of all these situations. It's just so gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. Also gut-wrenching and heartbreaking are the millions of people around the world who have died and are continuing to die of COVID-19, because truly they're safer, perhaps New Zealand. Like, no countries on earth who have really gotten this like 100% right. Most of these countries here, it's important to, daily news is important. We're keeping track of all these different things going on. Hopefully we're translating that into conversations with our friends and making change in our communities. But like, the main picture is that COVID was politicized by right wingers in the United States and around the world for political gain, to say it was the quote unquote China virus, to say that it's just some plot for people that, hey, some people are gonna need to die, but we're gonna have to keep working to keep this stuff going. And all of these measures, all of these approaches towards a like a crisis for humanity, save for like an alien invasion. This is probably the closest thing we're gonna get to that, where we really had an opportunity to unite and be careful. And by the way, actually care for our disabled like friends who are folks with disabilities who have particular proclivities to COVID-19, as not to say like long COVID doesn't affect all of us, whether we have disabilities or not, but this was a great opportunity for us to unite on something and actually help for the better. China thought it was doing better with its like zero COVID policy, but for the reasons you mentioned, for like the United States not vaccinating older people, for not, I don't think natural immunity is like a good like strategy, but that being said, it's a thing that's going to make it harder. The thing I'm most worried about now is that, like a lot of doctors are saying, there's a chance that because you're getting this rapid transmission of COVID-19, we know that it mutates and it like starts to really rapidly adapt. And if we get a version of COVID-19, perhaps say COVID-22 or 23, that is resistant to the vaccines that we have already, then we are in Problem Town USA, or like Problem Town Mr. Worldwide, because like that's a big issue.
And we already do have them. I mean, they are resistant, right? People still get COVID cases, but again, the difference between whether you're vaccinated and boosted and getting COVID versus not having any of those shots is huge and could mean, a stay in the hospital or not. And so I do think that, I think you're right that no government has gotten it completely 100%. And I do think that China's policies were way overblown and way too draconian. People not being able to go to work, not being able to get food. That being said, China also is a country that generally attempts and tries to provide for its people. So you see crews cleaning streets, you see crews offering people, I mean, talk about free tests, there's tests everywhere. There's never a question of how or when or where to get a test. You can call that, a robust social infrastructure. You could call that authoritarian, totalitarianism. I mean, I think it's somewhere in between. I think to me, the interesting thing is the political fallout, which is Xi Jinping made a calculation. He was like, look, obviously I'm president for life and I will continue to be so, at the barrel of a gun. But I do want to be minimally popular and I don't want people to blame me for everything. And I think going on 3 years, this has been enough. And so we need some amount of easing and relaxation given the amount of protests and given the uprising about it. So he made a political calculation and I think he's gonna save his own behind. And yes, this is naturally what was going to happen when you start to relax a little bit. I think that again, the extent to which people can be vaccinated is the extent to which they can save lives. But Dan's right, man. Mother Nature is like, what do I have to do to get you to fundamentally change your goddamn system? What do I have to do? I give you a pandemic, I give you climate change, I give you all these opportunities to actually do better, humans, to take the hint. You don't take the hint.
Really fast.
Yeah.
10 seconds. Like, I really like what you said there about how, there were some things China did well. And it's important and it's very easy for us, especially in these world situations, to try to frame it in the way we usually do politics as left versus right here. But no, if we can have any semblance of a chance of learning from this and maybe doing better in the future, we have to understand that some countries that are vilified or like lionized or like overappreciated around the world, they did some things that were good and some things that were bad. And it takes a rational mind to look at it all in that full big picture and not just go China fully bad, USA fully good. So it's important to do
we
that.
know USA not fully good.
Again, not preaching to the converted here.
I think I'm giving New Zealand like the A on this one. I'll give them the gold. And
definitely where, like in college, we're taking, okay, not everyone did a great job, so we'll like curve it. We'll take whoever did best and then go from there.
Very much so. Everyone's being graded on the curve.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.